healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Hello and welcome to Lady Journey, everybody. Welcome. We have an amazing guest today, Katie Nolan.
Yeah, thanks for coming all the way out to Astoria.
Thank you for having me. I came from Times Square because I was coming from something else, and that is brutal.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I don't recommend it.
Times
every now
Square
and
in the
then
summer.
you're there and you're like, I don't know why. I used to shop at Forever 21 there.
Oh my gosh,
That's
it felt
insane.
I know, and it was four stories high.
four sub-basements. It felt like an underground bunker. You were like, this is where we're going to
Oh my
survive
God.
the bomb.
Were things on hangers? Because in my mind, Forever 21 in Times Square is just on the ground
Everything
and
in a
you're picking
pile.
through
You
it.
know, it wasn't bad. I have to tell you, I would do it. They were open till 2 a.m.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
having
nice.
a flashback. I would go there in between my LOL spots and be like, let me just browse around for a $1
For a shirt I can wear 3 times.
Yeah, no, Times Square is a
Sucks.
nightmare, and I don't understand why people want to go there.
And they still, even when it's this hot, they walk slowly and are like,
Amazed.
look at the advertisements.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Elmo's just slowly coming
Crazy.
towards them. You're like,
And
get away.
It's like a dirty red carpet he's wearing.
Yeah, it's awful. It's a bad
Oh my
experience. But
gosh.
here, it's nice here. It's a cute
Yes.
little neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
into
you're
it.
the most famous guest we've ever had.
That's an insane thing to say because I'm
my gosh.
unemployed essentially. So that's
Oh my gosh! But
You're on hiatus.
When I met you,
exactly
Sabbatical.
an indefinite hiatus.
when I met you, I didn't know that you were famous. I just thought that you were a pretty girlfriend. I was like, that's my new
When
best
did we
friend.
first meet?
I remember
At
we
their
met
house? At the apartment?
At the apartment. And then can I tell our hilarious story that we have? Because we were watching the gymnastics documentary.
The NASA.
No, not that one. It was more
Not
of a
the sad
fun one.
It was the
a
one
cheer.
about. It was called. Was it Cheer?
I think it was
just
called Cheer, yeah.
About
Okay.
the cheerleaders in that
Texas.
some city town.
Yeah, some
Yes.
community college.
Yes.
I had come in late. Mike and I had come back, and so we're joining in. And Katie, I'm meeting Katie for the first time, not knowing what kind of person she is, and she was like, they were like, oh well, we can't get any other jobs. She's like, what are they supposed to all do? Go work at the fruitcake factory? And I was like, oh my God.
But to Katie's credit, she said, I don't think we should. And I was mortified. And I was like, oh my God, Katie, 5 minutes before you walked in, they just said that the only other thing going on in this town is a giant fruitcake factory. I am not being hateful. I was being serious.
I was like, wow,
so
we
rude.
really have some Skankfest style humor going
It
on
is true. With
here.
Dan, you never know. Could go either way. Luckily, we went the good way.
It's so
God,
funny.
that was so mortifying. As soon as I heard myself say it, I was like,
You were like, whoa. A hush
I
fell
hear
over
what
the room.
she's
Yeah,
hearing.
you're
I
like
get
actual
it.
fruitcake.
Oh my God.
Oh, no,
you never
literally
know
a
when you're going to be
fruitcake.
confronted with hateful speech.
some
and
sort
you
of
have to-
phobia
you have to take
that you
a
have to combat.
stand.
I'm impressed that you stopped it because I'm always just kind of like, cool.
Yeah, I think the evolution is like as you grow, you stop laughing at it. That's step one. Where you're
Yeah.
like, I was strong. I didn't
Yeah.
laugh
Yeah.
at the thing. And then the next one is just kind of stay silent and give them a look. But if they don't look at you, you don't push back. And then the third is when you're like, hey,
Yeah.
don't.
Stop.
And so Katie is fully evolved.
Yes.
She's a monarch butterfly.
Here
and we
I
are so
am.
proud of you.
I'm a social justice warrior. Well, I remember when I first moved to New York, one of the girls I was working with was Jewish, and she was like, oh my God, Chinatown has so many Japs. That's what she said. And I was like, I knew I would move to New York and the day would come where I was confronted with racism. I did not realize it would come. So, but of course she's meaning in the Jewish context, Jewish American princess.
Jewish American
Yes.
princess. I
Which
always
is still pejorative,
Still
I
bad.
wouldn't- but she was Jewish.
So,
but
yes,
I was like,
free reign.
oh my God. And I'm standing there with another girl, another non-white girl, and we were just like, who's from Florida? We were like, what's happening? This is my boss.
What's the protocol?
And so she was like, oh, she saw us being like, oh my God. She was like, you don't know what Japs are, do you? And I was like, oh, okay.
No, and then she explained
And it's
another
only okay when you're
horrific
using
thing.
it to
Yes,
hurt
it's
Jewish
other
people.
hurtful thing that we say.
Oh my gosh. So Katie, you have a pet. I wanted to get into your dog lifestyle because I love that. We've actually never done pets on here before. I think it's so fun. It's such a journey from getting the pet, going through the process. I mean, having a pet in New York is in and of itself, that's a lot.
It's tough.
So how did you get your pet, whose name we will disclose in in a moment.
Do you not want me to say?
No, you can.
Her name's Myrtle.
Her name's Myrtle,
She
which I
rules.
love that you chose that name for her.
She rules. It's kind of a long, not worth telling story, but it basically originates from, there was this car that Dan and we play a video game called Rocket League, and there's cars in it, and one of the cars was named like Myrtle, and she was always scoring on us. It was very annoying. And then one day Dan said like, it's Myrtle, like Ja Rule, right? So it became kind of a running joke. And then when we got this dog, he was like, well, we have to name her Myrtle. And at first I was like, what? And then it grew on me, and now I'm obsessed with it.
And she's such a Myrtle too.
Yeah, she's a total Myrtle. She like looks like she's 90, but she's really just 3.
Yeah. Because my only
years.
reference of Myrtle was in not the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters. Myrtle Urkel, who is Steve Urkel's cousin, who's like,
how do you remember that?
I know, I didn't remember
the only
that.
time I ever heard that name besides Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, that's
and
the only time
I
I've heard
remember
of it.
her being like, it was
Myrtle Urkel.
it was Steve, but like dressed as a girl,
Yeah,
right?
They really just
Yes.
wanted him to play a bunch of different parts.
Yes.
I know.
I
He
wonder
took
if that was
over.
him. I wonder if he was like, look, I've got range.
Yes,
and
he
I'd
does.
like to show it.
Well, when he was Stefan, you were like, you didn't think he was the same
Hottie.
person. You were
Just
like,
a
oh my
hottie.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they were like, we've got such a great thing here. How can we milk it? And then I'm sure the other actors were like, this is not what I signed up for.
Could you imagine the dad playing another character? Uncle Dave.
So Myrtle. So we got her, Dan and I, when we started dating, which was like right before the pandemic, it was October, I think, of 2019. He was like, we both obviously love dogs, and I was ready for a dog. And he was like, well, once we've been dating for a year, we can get a dog. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then the pandemic hit. And then we were, locked inside, which we both are normally on the road, like moving around a lot for our jobs. So I've never really been able to have a dog. And I was like, we're locked up, and we're going to probably be locked up for a while. So I was like, we should get a dog. And so a friend of mine who lived like a block away in Hoboken was fostering dogs, which was the move. A lot of people did that during the pandemic. Because it was like, let me rent a dog.
Yeah.
See if I like
It's
this.
very New
Somebody else.
York.
Yes.
Just in case they lift
Blockbuster.
the restrictions, then I
Yeah.
can give the dog back. So she was fostering. They gave her 3 dogs at once. And that came from a litter of 6. And so she had sent me this picture of like 6 dogs, all little puppies. And she was like, 3 of these are coming to me tomorrow. And I was like, oh, in my mind, I was like, I know which one is the one I would want.
Yeah.
And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show Dan these 6 pictures and say, in your mind, think of the one of these you would want. And then if that dog ends up being one of the 3 that she gets, and because she was going to bring one over to meet us, I was like, if she brings over this dog, then we have to, then we can't wait a year. We have to get it because it's the
Yeah.
dog we
Yes.
both wanted, and all these things, she was the one that was chosen and ended up coming. So then, I didn't cheat either. I thought about being like, hey, bring over the little black one because that's the one I want. And she showed up, it was raining. And she didn't come in, but my friend just like stood down there and like held the dog up. And we both looked at each other and we were like,
That's the one.
we're getting a dog. And so then she came in, like we hung out with her a couple times. We had little play dates, and she was so cute. She like missed her brothers and sisters, obviously. So she kept going over to her little carrying case and just like sniffing it and laying on it. But then she would like lay, and she liked watching Dan play video games. And I was like, well, that's all we do in this apartment. So
she's
you
family.
are one of the family. And then, and I've never had a dog in my whole life. So
Really?
this is first dog ever.
And you got her as a baby.
As a baby.
What breed?
Well, so
Just
we
a
were
mix?
told that she was going to be a retriever collie mix.
Okay. Can
And
you do
then-
like a 23andMe on dogs?
So somebody in her litter did.
Okay.
And then we saw that girl's results, and it was, they, tell you all the different types of dog, like 12% pit bull and 7% whatever. And she was like 25% super mutt.
Okay.
Which I was like, well, I'm not paying the money to get this done for them to just say she's every dog.
Yeah.
So now when anybody
been
asks,
around.
I'm like, she's every dog. Her face
That's
looks like
so
a terrier. Her hair doesn't make any sense. It's like rough in certain parts and then like smooth in other parts. She sheds like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
It's
she's got
constant
Long
shedding.
hair, yeah.
I just took her to PetSmart for her first New York City haircut.
Okay.
And which I guess is like taking somebody to Supercuts for their first New York City haircut. But I was
Yeah.
like, look, it's close.
Like, you have a chili bowl.
And it's like, at least I know that they have, like, I didn't want to have to spend the whole day diving in on reviews of like, is this place good? Or is it just,
Yeah.
So it's like, let me just take her to a PetSmart. At least they've got accountability in the sense of
Yeah,
like,
they
they're
have
a
pet
major
people.
corporation and I can tweet about them if I have to, if they kill my dog. And they make you specify like how short. They like give you a piece of cardboard that has a bunch of
Yeah.
fake hair on it.
Wow.
It's probably because they deal with a lot of crazy New Yorkers.
And I get it, but I also was like, I don't know. These 3 look the same to me.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
guess
Yes.
this one. And when she came out, I was like, I picked the wrong one. She got buzzed. Like she got a military
Oh my
haircut. She
gosh.
looked wild, but she's
How
growing
funny.
into it now, so it's, it's fine. But she sheds a lot.
Oh my gosh. So do you guys brush and you just are like whatever?
She
we just
won't let
have
us
hair
brush her.
everywhere. Oh my
she
god.
will not. She does not like it. Loves to be scratched.
What about pets?
Loves to be pet.
Okay.
Does not like when I put on that little glove that has the nubbins on it
Okay.
and I do this. She's like,
yeah.
I'm not into it.
I feel like I would also not like that.
I feel like I
Really?
would like it.
Really?
It's like that, that thing you get a head scratch
Yes.
with?
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
what I
little thing.
feel like it would feel like.
Yeah. But she's like, no.
But she's not into
No.
it. So what we do is we just follow her around with a dustbuster and everywhere we go.
Yeah, putting
Because
your
when we lived in Hoboken,
Do you have a Roomba?
no.
Okay.
putting the Roomba on the dog.
Yeah.
I always
Just
was
follow
afraid that like
that.
it's just gonna run into stuff and then I'm gonna be annoyed by it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
just
yeah.
do it, whatever. But in Hoboken, listen, depression hit pretty hard when I was in Hoboken, and I'd lived in that apartment for a while, and it was all old furniture that I didn't like, and like it needed to be renovated, and I never renovated it, and I had bought it with an ex who is an absolute piece of garbage. Shout out to him.
Shout out. We love a Lady Journey shout out.
And he and so I was like, I didn't take care of the place, and when I left, we moved to New York, and then when I went back because I still own it and I have to clean it out, and I saw it with fresh eyes for the first time, and I was like, oh my god, we lived in filth. There was hair everywhere.
Yeah.
Because when we moved to the new place, we could see anytime her hair was like, I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah.
starting to really get there. But before at Hoboken, it was already a messy place. It was like dusty. I really didn't care about cleaning it, and then
Yeah.
add the hair on top of it, and it just became a problem. But we didn't notice.
Yeah,
And
I know.
now
We
in
all
New
went through
York,
that
I'm like,
in the pandemic where we were
Oh
like,
my
what was
God.
that?
awful.
What was
just
that?
awful, real
Yeah.
bad.
When
But
I
it
was
is hard to tell when you're in it
Yeah,
that you're sitting in it.
yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
you don't notice.
Because
Yeah.
my sister-in-law will be like, she always does rescues, and she has like 5 at one time, and she's like,
Wild.
it is. And sometimes I'm like, stop. Like, you cannot save every dog. It's becoming an issue.
Yeah.
But she'll be like, I cleaned up the place so your mom can stay here with me. And so I've stayed there, and I'm like, Julie, it's still dirty.
Yeah, I would tidy up. Like I never let anybody in my house, but there was like, when it was bad, my manager was like, I'm coming to visit.
Yeah.
I'm coming in. I don't care what it's like. And so I was like, oh, I'll clean up for her. And then I saw her face when she came in, and I was like, it's not clean, is it? I
Well,
did a
it's so-
bad
you
job.
can't-
It's hard with dog
I just
hair.
clean the
With dog
bathroom.
hair,
The bathroom's
just-
the only thing you're really going to care about as a
Yeah,
guest.
yeah.
I'm like, just make sure when they go in there, they're not like,
see my
what
diarrhea.
the hell?
Like-
or Dan's piss all
Whoopsie.
over everything.
Whoopsie. Now, so as you're in the new place,
Yeah.
is it dog friendly?
It is. It's
Okay.
everybody's got a dog, but the thing is, everybody has a little dog.
Okay.
Like there's a ton of doodle mixes. Everything's mixed.
that's a
with
huge
doodle.
one.
Yeah, and I think it's because they don't shed. Which at first I was like,
Yes.
how valuable can that be? And now I'm like,
Yeah.
I do get it. I get it. But I
Yeah.
would still pick my girl over them. Any
She's
day
a
of the week.
sweetie, and she's
Yeah.
got beautiful coloring.
She's
got
very
like caramel
and it's funny
that
when
dark black.
when we're feeding her, and I sometimes it'll not be caramel, it'll get lighter, and I'm like, we should change her food because weirdly I change her food and then it gets
Interesting.
orange again.
Okay, so what do you feed her?
We're just doing kibble. I mean, we're not. We
Okay.
can't. I see those ads for the get a fresh delivery.
They make it seem like your dog is just eating chicken nuggets
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
time with regular
Well,
dog
you're
food.
already giving it a life.
Yeah.
You're already giving it a
and
life.
I had to unpack the guilt of like, am I bad because I'm
Yeah.
not buying fresh raw?
Yeah.
I think it's marketing. I think it's like a
It
marketing.
is.
It's like
and
you're
I've also
getting.
heard vets say, and maybe they're on the take, I don't know, but I've heard them say that like, no, just feed them like a reputable, like we do Purina Pro plan, just too many P's, but it's, for her, it's sensitive stomach, it says. And it's good. We just switch the flavor up every now and then. It's like sometimes she's a salmon girl, other times she's into the turkey.
Oh,
A little variety.
I love that. You need
Yeah.
a little flavor.
Now-
Because imagine eating the same thing every single day.
Do you hang out with other dog people?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that was
Have
my
you
next
run
question.
into other dog people?
With my dog.
Because it seems like I one of the reason I'm hesitant to get a dog or have a pet is because I don't think I have the social stamina.
You don't have to.
For the like
You don't have to.
People are like, "Hi, what's her special
Yeah.
secret?" You're like,
Oh.
"Oh my god,
Get away from
Like, I don't know, she poops and then smells it.
Yeah. I'll just be
know.
like, she's racist.
I'm bad at it. I'm really bad at the small talk because I just am like, my brain goes, why do you care? And I just want
Yeah,
to look at them and
yeah.
go, why do you care?
yeah."
But then I also the toughest thing in the city is when people ask, and thank God they ask, when like a little kid is like, "Can I pet your dog?" And you want to be like, "Yes, but I trained her, so she's not very good at it. So she's gonna lunge at you, but it's with kisses, and so you have to. But you can't communicate all that. The kid's already going to pet her, and you're like, people are walking on the street, and you're like holding your dog, and you're like, please don't attack this child.
Oh my God.
That's the kind of dog owner that I am.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah.
I need you to sign an NDA.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sign right here and have your mom sign that as well because you're 7.
I'm not liable for anything that happens to you.
When we would in Hoboken, the dog park had a little bit of that. It had a little bit of the like
A little scene.
Yeah, because it's a square mile city. So like,
Sorry, that's
if
my
you're-
birth control alarm.
Well, take
Don't
it.
worry about it.
Don't be late.
I already took it. Sorry.
They would. It's like the same people would always be there, and so I went a couple times, and then I was just like, I hated it. I hated going because you felt like you had to talk to people, and like you also didn't want to take your eyes off your dogs. You couldn't be on your phone the whole time because I hated those people who would go and let their dog like do awful things to my dog, and I'm like, is anybody going to stop the dog from doing this?
Just rapings
And Myrtle humps.
Yeah.
She humps. She only humps at the dog park. But boy, does she hump
That's a safe
when she's at
space.
the dog park. She just, and she's a girl. And so, like, I'll pull her off and they'll be like, oh, he's just excited. And I was like, well, it's a she. And they go, huh. And then I get to be like,
Weird.
well, it's 2023, so maybe we don't
Yeah.
Let's not label.
the
Yeah.
sexual liberation of my dog. But yeah, it's just I don't do well with the social interactions around the dog.
Yeah, because it is like you
I
know
try.
we're talking about like the dog moms and like the dog mom culture, and it does feel like it's a marketing tactic to like zero in on people who have nothing else. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I only have my dog, but but it's also fun though.
Yeah.
it's also fun to insist that you're a parent.
The worst dog mom thing I do is talk to people with babies, so sorry in advance.
That's all right. I get it.
About my dog and how like, oh yeah, Myrtle does that. And
Yeah.
okay, well this is a human child. But
Your
I think
baby
in the
eats her
early,
poop?
I think in the early stages they're more alike than we want to admit. Just because they can't communicate. Like the babies
Yeah.
can't say anything. So
There's
it's like you're
also-
trying to figure out a thing that can't tell you what's up.
And I think there's an area where being a dog owner is actually harder.
That's right. Preach. Tell
than
them.
Yes.
Tell them.
an actual child because
That's right.
you can bring your kid anywhere
Yeah,
and people like
dogs.
socially accept it,
Yeah.
but you can't do that with dogs.
They're pushing back too. Dogs
Yeah.
have been in a lot of places, and I think now I'm starting to see like a swelling online of people being like, "Stop bringing your effing dog to this place."
Yeah.
And I get that. Like, I never assume she can go somewhere. I
People
call ahead.
abuse the service animal.
Yeah.
People abuse
Yeah.
that. Like I saw a comedian, I won't say who it was, but he was in like just salad and he brought his dog in and they were like, you can't have dogs in here. He's like, it's a service dog. It's like, well, it's clearly not.
Are you having a
It's
seizure
huge.
right now?
It's huge. You don't need your emotional support dog when
Anything
you're ordering
with
a
sneeze
salad.
guard, you should not be able to bring a dog into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Do you bring Myrtle on the plane?
No, God, no. She took a long time to get used to a car. The other thing about her being a pandemic dog and my first dog is that like the socialization was hard to do. Getting her to the dog park when she got her shots was easy, but it was the people. So she loves human attention because she is the daughter of Dan Soder and Katie Nolan.
Oh, yes.
So she's
Extroverted.
obsessed
Yeah.
with human attention and wants all of it. And so whenever she sees a new human, she just gets so excited that like if you tell her she can't and then you look at her eye, they're bloodshot. Because
Yeah.
she has been like and so she she just like jumps up on people a lot. So I don't bring her anywhere. Taking her in a car was hard the first few times. She puked. One time they said that if you get her crate trained, then you can just put the crate into the car and
Yeah.
the dog won't know any better. It's their home. It's their crate.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
It's still moving.
Not true.
They can feel it.
We put her in her crate.
Yeah.
We were leaving for a trip. We went to like, I think the Hamptons. This is when like we were supposed to be going to a wedding, but the wedding got canceled, but we had the Airbnb. So we went anyway for like our first trip out during COVID. And we're driving through the city because we had to go Hoboken. To some reason, they took us through the city. And we're in Manhattan. And all of a sudden I look back and she's like,
Yeah.
and I was like, Dan, I think she's gonna, and then she just was like, So we had to pull over
Yeah.
on the street. Dan tried to pull the dog bed out of the crate, and the puke just went all.
Oh,
it was a mess.
gnarly.
It was an absolute mess. So no,
Oh my
we do
gosh.
not fly with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't think she can handle it.
I went on a plane once where it was dog owners and they had their dog and it was small, but it diarrheaed everywhere.
God. Oh my god! And you know they're not cleaning that right
So
in between
funny.
the flights because everybody wants to board and they're in a
Yeah.
rush.
Yeah. I had a dog next to me on a flight sitting on my foot the whole flight.
Oh, I
and
like
I was
that.
like, I mean,
I like
what
that.
are we going to do?
Yeah. And
I
it's
wanted to move
cute.
seats, but it was a huge dog and they just had it. It's like you're trying to put it where the bags go
You're
in the
like,
undercarriage. It's like,
no.
it's fine.
Have you ever seen somebody bring their dog on first class and let them sit in a seat in first class?
No.
Because you would think it'd be good because it's like, oh, they have their own space, they won't bother me. But then they're dogs, and so
Yeah.
they don't stay in their seat.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, you spent first class money on a dog?
Yeah, yeah.
Now I'm mad at you. I'm
Right,
just
right.
annoyed by the type of
That was my
person that you,
upgrade.
like, how dare you? Exactly.
I think Jared Freed took an airplane once and he took a photo of it and somebody had their Great Dane
Wild.
sitting and
Oh, yeah.
it was not first class. It was coach.
Wild.
Trying to get your Great Dane under this. Now,
Oh
in my neighborhood, there's 2 Great Danes, and they're actually you would not think this, but Great Danes are good
They're lazy,
city
right?
dogs.
They're like,
Yeah.
they don't like
They don't run.
run
They can
around,
only
yeah.
go for like a low impact walk because they're so big and they're purebred. But they're huge, and I've seen them
Yeah.
for years. They just walk around slowly, and
I
they're
always feel like
amazing.
it's a flex.
Yeah.
Being
Like,
like,
that's how
I
big
have-
my apartment is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have a horse. I have a horse. Like 2 broke girls. Now, would you ever do like a dog birthday party?
Huh. Maybe.
I think it's fun. It's if you do it like in the way that it's like a first birthday party where you're not like
Yeah.
involving other dogs and you're like, we're just
Yeah.
having our friends over.
Yeah.
It's an excuse to have people over and be like, it's her
And
birthday.
have a cake,
Yeah.
have a dog cake.
Yeah, I could. Somebody gave her a dog cake on her first birthday. They sent it to us, and it was crazy.
What was it?
It was this big,
Wow.
and it was looked like fondant, but I'm sure it was some dog friendly something.
Yeah.
And then it was like peanut butter, but it was like hard, and so she was like licking it. I'm like, if you lick this, we're gonna be here all fucking day.
Yeah.
And then she was like trying to bite it, but was just the way you bite a cake with fondant, and you're like.
Yeah.
And then I was like, am I supposed to let her eat this whole thing? She'll shit everywhere.
Yeah, she just has diarrhea.
But how do I save it? And so we like kept it in the fridge and let her have bites. And then I was like, I'm throwing this away.
Yeah.
It was a cute little picture.
Yeah.
Cute moment. Wildly impractical.
yeah.
Maybe smaller.
Yeah,
a
like make it
cupcake.
give it a cupcake.
Yeah.
Or like, I mean, it's like, do dogs really like cakes? They want to have like a whale bone or
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
to
right.
gnaw
Give
on.
them an animal to kill or
Yeah.
something.
I know. It's like at that point, I that's like what I was saying about like Chateau Le Wolf, which is a dog cafe near here.
Chateau Le Wolf.
Isn't that fun? I think it's so cute.
And it's a dog cafe, meaning the dogs are already there, like a cat cafe, or it's a dog
It's
cafe that you bring your own.
BYO.
Yeah.
BYOD.
BYOD, but they have dog treats there, but they're all like in human form. So it's very much like get a dog croissant, get a dog, get a dog avocado toast or whatever. It's,
my God.
It's just the height of bouginess, and I have to say I love it.
Oh, I'm interested.
Yeah, intriguing.
I'd be intrigued.
Now, I went to a birthday party once of a minor celebrity, won't say who, but this was like such a cute, fun birthday party where they had like a masseuse who was like giving people massages in one room. And then they had the food, and they had like other little things. And then like the grand finale of the birthday was they had a company. It's like a company that takes dogs. They're like foster dogs, but they're babies. So they need to be socialized. So they bring them in and they play with you. You get to play with puppies for like an hour.
Oh, I like
Isn't that cute? They were
Yeah.
all tiny wiener dogs, and then we got to like put them in little costumes.
I'm doing the math in my head trying to figure out who this minor celebrity is based on the
Yeah.
massages and dogs.
It was so fun.
Parker Posey.
Oh my god, I wish. And then we did cocaine. Oh, but it was so cute. I love wiener dogs. That would be if
They are
I
very
were to
cute.
get a
Aren't they?
dog.
Are they temperamental? Are they bad? I feel
They
like I've heard a bad
They're
thing
bad
about
with
them.
kids. They're bad
Yeah.
with kids, and they're also like one of their things I think is that they end up getting kind of like hard of hearing because they're just so inbred.
Long.
Sadly, yeah, they're so long. The sound doesn't
so
travel.
oddly shaped.
But I just think they're so cute.
They are
Mike's
very cute.
sister has even tiny one. Like you think it's a puppy, it's not.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And every time
I'm
we go,
afraid I would sit on it.
I know,
Yeah.
or like just kind of like tread on it.
Yeah.
You have to keep it in your handbag at all times.
When you walk those down the street, whenever I see somebody with like a little rat down the street in the city. I'm like, that might fall in a grate.
Yeah,
at
Just
some
go right
point.
down.
Anything
Yeah.
could happen
Yeah.
to that tiny
Or
animal.
actually literally get attacked by a
Another
rat.
one.
Another
Yeah,
rat.
by
Yeah.
oh my God, like a pizza rat.
Yeah. Now, so you've just moved.
Yes.
You're in the new place.
Yes.
So tell us, like, what was decorating from scratch?
Did you start over?
Started over.
That's how I want to do it. I
Completely
always
started
never
over.
want to bring the old stuff.
I know.
just wanna
Sarah's
start
moving
over.
next month. Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded bringing the old stuff, but my old stuff was in the aforementioned depression
Yes.
apartment, so
Yeah.
it was not clean. My
Need a fresh start.
nightstand looked like what they confiscate at TSA. It was like water bottles and drugs and a mess. And so I was like, I won't bring my stuff. Dan was kind of really wanted to bring his stuff, and I was like,
Is it a recliner?
I was like, tell me about the stuff. Let's walk me through it. Where'd
Guys
you
always want to
get
bring
the
their stuff. The guys always want to bring their stuff.
And it was like Raymore and Flanagan, like a bookcase. And I was like, I think we should start new.
Yes.
I don't want to have to match your bachelor furniture. Let's just get new furniture. And he's like, what about the desk? So he had moved his stuff into storage and then moved in with me in Hoboken.
Okay.
So like he went from your guy's apartment that he had with Mike. When he moved out of that, he had never lived alone. So he got himself like an interim. He couldn't just move right in with a woman.
Right,
He was
right.
like, let me get my own little apartment in the city that he barely ever went to, and was I think we both agree, a waste of money at the end of the day.
Yeah,
but
but
he
it was
moved
cute.
in there.
I did see it.
It was cute, and it
had
was
a
useful.
decor
It was useful. Like
style.
people used
Yeah.
it when they needed like a place to stay.
Yeah.
He would let them stay there. It was great, but it was like, it's also very claustrophobic. It was like in the back, and there was like a window that faced a wall of a building.
Yes.
And it was just like,
yeah. Yeah. Bad lighting.
So like he moved his stuff from there into storage and then moved in with me in Hoboken. So then when we moved to New York, he was like, well, I have to get my stuff out of storage. And I was like, well, I thought the point of this storage was that they are also a junk removal company. And so if your stuff turns into junk, you can
Yes.
just say, toss it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was like, but I left stuff in my drawers and I left stuff, so I have to get all that out.
Yeah.
My pens without tops on them.
I was like, okay, sure. So have your stuff delivered, and then we'll look at it, and then we'll decide if we want to get rid of it. Had the stuff delivered. There was nothing inside of it. He had forgotten that he had unpacked it all. And then we threw it away. So we had to call a separate junk removal company to
Oh
come
my
and take all the
gosh.
stuff away. But at
Yeah.
that point, I had ordered ordering the furniture was the worst.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the worst. It was after when COVID was like everything takes a year to get
Oh,
here.
Yeah, couches
Yep.
took like 3 years to get
That's-
to your
you-
apartment.
that was
still
what
a
happened
thing.
to us, yeah.
And there's still a lot of companies that are when are you moving? Like soon or a while from now?
like a month from now, and we're just doing the upstairs apartment.
So there are a couple companies that had couches I loved, but they are all custom made, and so they have like a longer lead time.
Yeah.
So we found the apartment we wanted after like a long search, and it turned out that it was like, yeah, okay, so you can have this apartment, and it's the price that you guys can afford, which is still it's way too expensive. So we all keep saying we're only going to be there for a year, but they were like, the lease starts like today.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, we weren't going to
Okay.
move until 2 months from now. So then I was like, I have to cancel all my plans, sit down and spend the next 2 weeks getting furniture.
Yeah.
And so I had to like click the box that was like ship now, like available right at this moment, which narrowed
Okay.
things down, which in the end probably helped.
And
'cause
what
it kept me
site were
from
you on?
drowning. Oh, Katie, what site was I not on?
Yes.
So my thing for this apartment was I didn't want to do like IKEA,
Right.
which I
Grown
did
up.
end up doing. But yeah, I wanted it to be grown up. I wanted it to be like, because we were getting a nice apartment. We knew we weren't going to be here for long. So I was like, I want it to have nice furniture. I want it to look nice. So it isn't just like nice apartment, garbage furniture, and then we're out of here. I wanted us to like come home and feel serene and relaxed.
Yes.
I put way too much thought into it. And I ended up, I think everything is from a different company. I barely got anything from the same place.
You can't
You
get a set. I
can.
mean, if you get a set, it's like I live in a hotel, I guess.
Our bedroom, I gave in, and I was like, I'm just getting a set.
Yeah.
Because it came down to the bedroom, and I'm like, we sleep in here. So let's just pick
Yeah.
the set that we like from West Elm, and we'll put that in the bedroom.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with matching nightstands,
It
which
was
we
just
do
like
not
it
have.
made the most sense. I like see people the way they do their bedroom, and I love that for them. I didn't have the energy. I wanted to do that with my living
It's a
room.
lot of energy.
Yeah,
It
it's a lot.
is. Yeah.
It's almost a full-time job to scour.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when
absolutely.
you have a apartment that isn't giant, but a fiance who is.
Yes.
And so
He's
you're
a
like,
big boy.
I need a couch that adheres to the proportions of interior design, which is like you don't want it to be a certain, if it's too big, it'll look crazy in the room. But then also I couldn't have it too small because if he can't lay down on it. So I took his measurements from head to toe and made sure that the seat width, which is different than the width of a couch, it's like from armrest to armrest, was long enough for him to lay down. And that the total width of the couch was small enough that it wouldn't overwhelm our room.
That is, that's
it was
tricky.
It's like
nightmare.
You wouldn't think that you'd need a place called Big and Tall Furniture.
Yeah, you wouldn't, but you do.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, he doesn't nap on it anyway. He naps on the couch in the office. So
Now,
all for nothing.
Yeah.
He insisted we get it long enough to nap. I've seen him take a nap on it once, and it was an accident.
yeah, we have. I wish I had done measuring for my couch. I have a smaller boyfriend. My boyfriend's
Well, he's like,
a wee bit
but he's
smaller.
also
but he's a thick. He's kind of a
he's a sturdy boy.
He is a babe. He's a hunk.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like we kind of like when we're on the couch together, it's like his legs are just kind of off the side, and I'm like, "Are you uncomfortable?" He's like, "It's fine." We're like, "Okay, we're gonna see like what we're gonna do now." At least thanks to Facebook Marketplace, you can like resell stuff, buy and resell stuff.
I haven't opened Facebook in 5 years, and at this point, I'm terrified to open it because I'm terrified to see that like I missed something important.
Oh yeah,
So I've missed out on Facebook Marketplace entirely.
Facebook Marketplace is fun. I just like to go on there and browse. It's like Craigslist to me in a way where I used to just pop on just to see what's on,
Just to see who's selling what. Maybe I need it. Who knows?
Hey, I could do 100 votives.
I found a few things, but it is an awkward exchange. And then I always feel like I'm like a dad that makes promises that never shows up because it's always like,
Yeah.
are you going to be there this Saturday? And then when I think about it, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get this to my apartment. And
Yeah.
I just cancel.
Yeah. Sorry about the headboard.
I'm gonna come to your game, and then you just don't show
Yeah.
up.
Well, actually, when I was helping Mike and Dan move out of their place, they had that huge couch. Remember, they had like it was a gigantic
couch.
sectional,
And
and
also
actually,
the couch Dan referenced when we were looking. He was like, "I want it to be like that couch." I'm like, "Well, you need to let that go."
Did it have
Yeah.
cup
It's
holders?
not going to be like that
it was
couch.
it was a big old.
It was just like
I
a
feel
big L of a right, wasn't it? An L shape.
just a gigantic sectional, and it was great in that space because it was big
It's a boy
enough. Like,
couch.
there's no way it would have fit in any
Ever.
Manhattan apartment
No.
that I've seen.
Yeah.
But so I put it on Craigslist. I was like, well, I'll list it, try to get it to a good home. A guy comes, picks up half of it.
No.
And then he's like, I'll be back. I was like, okay. And then he texts me, bad news, my wife didn't like the couch.
Surprise.
Like,
Shocking.
I was like,
Shocking.
you have a wife? Like, what are you doing?
Why do you want this?
And
Yeah.
you
How did
got
you not
this?
ask?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he was like, and then I never heard from him again, and then we just had half of the couch.
Wait, but he kept the other half?
yeah, he offered to bring it back, but I was like, I
No.
mean, at this point,
It's
like,
out.
I can't
want
deal with it.
Yeah, you want it out of your life.
Yeah,
wild.
Yeah.
so sad because I was like, I felt like it would have been perfect for like a bro pad, like guys
Yeah,
like
or
just
like
like
a
graduated
basement.
college
Or a
you know?
basement of something if you have a house or
not
something.
like a family man trying to
No.
surprise his wife with a new piece of
you just
furniture.
picture when he walks in, she's like, no.
Yeah, she's like, "What are
Absolutely
you doing,
not.
Tony? What are you
This
doing?"
Smells like weed. What is this?
So, when you were like planning, right? Was there one thing, like particularly in the living room, that you were like, "Okay, this is my thing. I'm basing the design around this."
I'm a millennial woman.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So I wanted the green couch.
Oh,
I wanted a
yes.
green couch. I was like, I'm getting a green couch. And that doesn't even really narrow it down because there's like emerald green and then there's moss green.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
textures.
So I had there's some program that Dan got me a laptop for Christmas because I needed a new laptop and it came preloaded with some sort of, I forget, I think it's called like Freeform or something. And it's
Okay.
basically just like an unlimited blank document that you can cut and paste stuff into. So I was like pasting these couches and then like trying them out with different chairs and
Oh,
different
that's
rugs
smart.
and different.
That's really smart.
But it wasn't easy until we locked in the couch because like we went to this place called Blue Dot in the city to see the couch in person just to see if it was like comfy.
Okay.
And it was in moss green velvet with a walnut base.
Oh,
and I was like, that's checking a
gorgeous.
lot of boxes for me. And then we sat on it and Dan said it was comfortable. And then like the height was fine because sometimes because his legs are so long, if we get too low of a couch, his legs go up before
Oh
they
my
go down.
gosh.
And I was like, that's not comfortable. So it like checked all those boxes. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go input all of this into my spreadsheet and see if it works. And Dan
Yes.
was like, why don't we just buy it right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, we can't just buy it right now. I have pages and pages of documents and I have to go through.
Like calculations.
And he was like, let's just buy it. And I just looked at him and I was like, okay.
Are we crazy?
We're just gonna buy it.
Love means taking risks together.
And so we bought it. And once we got the couch, then it was like, okay, so now I know that these tables are out and these rugs are out, and now I'm like down to my, so then we just went with like walnut, everything walnut and green and like an earth tones.
Ooh, I
feel.
love it. So calming.
Yeah. And then the office is bright. The office is like supposed to make us feel creative.
Oh, perfect.
But right now it's just really for playing video games.
Are you guys both like?
kind of.
Do you like both work in there, or
Yeah,
would you?
well, we're ideally when we both have work. So it's like one wall. I got us 2 desks with like a storage thing in between. So it's like a straight. I think that's from Pottery Barn. It's like we work together next to each other.
Yes.
And then there's a pull-out couch. So if anybody ever comes to visit, we can stick them on that. And then a TV. And like tables from IKEA. I bought these bookcases from Room and Board, I want to say.
Okay.
And they were like $1,100 and they were to the ceiling. And I was like, these are going to be so stunning. And they showed up and I was like, these look exactly like a $100 IKEA bookcase. And they're going behind my couch. So I made them take those back. I got my money back. And then I just bought an IKEA bookcase and I built it myself. But I built one of the shelves the wrong way. So there's just like particle board sticking out. Not proud of that.
So painful when you're like, I can do it. I'm a woman. And you're like,
Dan's going to come home and see this and go, wow, what a gal. And instead he was like, what's this? And I was like, all right.
It's a cork board for ideas.
Yeah, it's like you could stick things on it. Come on, be creative.
I had a couple of those moments because I was like building the furniture by myself too. Like most of the stuff we didn't really need to put together, but I was like, oh, surely I can do an 80-step process. And it's like, I can't.
It's hard.
It's very tricky.
It's hard.
And you need tools.
Yeah, and I found the one thing, if you're a perfectionist, you start tightening the bolts really early on.
And then it makes it impossible to do the rest.
The last one, and you're like, so I find you got to keep it all loose until the very
and
end.
it pains you to do it. Where you're
Yes.
like, I have to half do this.
Yes.
I want it to be done.
I know that
don't wanna
Allen
go
wrench
back
is
to it.
itching
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
those.
And the tools that they give you, it took me a while to use the long end or the short end
Of an Allen wrench.
yeah.
So I was having the short end dig into this,
Same.
and then I was like, "This is dumb," and then I'm like, "I'm dumb."
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the thing about those, like that and IKEA directions. They're all things that you're like, okay, these are made for people to get. Like intuitively,
Yeah.
I'm being dumb. But then you're also like, no, because I went back and I checked those instructions once I made that mistake, and I was like, it doesn't ever say make sure it's facing the right way. They didn't warn me.
Yes.
But yeah, you do feel real stupid when you're like, it's me. I'm stupid.
You're like, maybe
Now-
it's a cultural thing. I was like, maybe they didn't make it for American minds.
Yeah. I think that's part of it where you're like, oh, this has just been in 180 languages. And
It's the metric system.
Yeah,
We
it's
just don't know anything
transferring.
about it.
Yeah.
now, do you have like little bits around the place? Do you do candles? Are you a knickknack person?
I have a couple little bits. Where I struggle, and I'm still struggling if I'm being honest, is hanging things on the walls.
Yeah.
I can never make decisions on what goes where. I'm never like moved by art so much that I'm like, this is right in this room. Like I don't know what to get and I don't know where to put it. And so it's like right now the walls are really blank. But
I'm in the same boat. 'Cause
It's hard.
It's very. I'll be like, I like that. And I'm like, do I
do
really
I like it forever?
Yeah.
Does Dan like it?
Do I
like it?
$1,000
All the-
like it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, we're still working on that part. But I bought some tchotchkes. The dumbest thing I bought was a like a snuffer for a candle.
Love it.
Like
Love.
a brass little thing to put out my tea lights that I'll never
Yeah.
use.
Oh my gosh.
And the very first time we had guests over, they brought their child. And what did that child grab onto and
wait.
play with like a toy? It was my candle snuffer. And you don't want to be that asshole who's like, can you tell him to stop?
That's my new candle snuffer.
I don't want to have to say out loud how much that was because I'm already embarrassed. But can he not be? Because he was just ringing it like a bell and like slamming it on the ground. I was like, can somebody please stop?
Oh my god.
Stop touching that thing. I'm embarrassed I bought it, but I did, and now it's broken.
Oh, I love a candle snuffer though because it preserves the wax and it doesn't get all messed up.
I just think it gives off, it's like a candle, it's like a cigarette holder. You're like, I smoke, but I'm dignified about it.
Yes.
Yes. And also those little details, like I like getting like I want a fancy envelope opener.
Ooh,
Do you know what I
fun.
mean?
Yeah.
Like those are the
Yes.
tchotchkes that
Adult
I like
things.
that have function. So
Yeah.
I do like things like spending a little extra money on something like that. I think
wanna
is
get
fun.
like a cigarette holder, but it's like a vape that's like a foot long.
Love that.
Wouldn't that be fun? And I don't vape, but I would
Well,
start.
you'll start. And
Just
it's easy to
obnoxious
cry here, so
on
you'll
the
be
street.
fine.
Yeah. Green apple floating around me. Now, Katie, what's your journey that you're on right now? What's going on with you?
Depression, is that a journey?
Yeah.
It
Yes,
is. It's
it
been an
is.
episode.
And you
It's
do
been, and we
self-care.
will be having part 2.
God, it is just, as somebody
From
who's
no work situation.
yeah, I think it's like I tied a lot of my
Or transitional.
value into the like what I do,
Oh, we know about that one.
and then once you don't do it,
Yeah.
I think it's good in the long run of like I needed time of being, but then you also learn like I'm boring, and then you're like, why don't I want to go out and hike? And then you start to feel bad about that,
Yeah.
and then
You
you,
don't
just
need to
start
do that.
constantly.
Yeah.
And also, just I can't. The thing that's hard for me to talk about publicly is that I really do like constantly feel like the world's about to end. That's where I'm at in my depression, and it's really hard to have that conversation with people who
Yeah.
are living their lives.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, right, but what about when it's all gonna like we're out of here soon, and
Right.
everybody's just like does not
Having
also
brunch.
feel that
Yeah.
way, and so I'm kind of like bringing a lot of conversations down. So I'm trying to just like not have them. But yeah, I just feel like at this point in my life, I have a lot of questions, and my mind has all the wrong answers that they are constantly telling myself. I got a lot of like negative feedback loop.
yes,
Gotcha.
yeah, I hear that.
It
Well,
rules.
it's
It's very fun.
Have you thought about finding other like-minded
Depressed people.
to,
Yeah.
to indulge in
about
your
us-
AI?
The
Yes.
thing about us is that we don't like each other. Like we don't like going outside.
There can only be one in the group.
Yes,
yeah, the
exactly.
Armageddon brunch group. Yeah.
Otherwise, I think we're like a cabal. I don't think we're all allowed to gather. But yeah, I mean, it's like I try to find people. Usually, I just God, this makes my life sound so sad.
Is Dan
I find
the
him
same
on
way?
Reddit. No, Dan is a golden retriever.
Gotcha. So
I
you
think
need that
good.
balance.
That's
I
a
think
good
he
balance,
also
yeah.
does think like things are bad, like politically and societally, and like he can. But I think I have to constantly be like, "That's me rubbing off on you."
Yeah.
Don't let that like. He'll come in and be like, "Everybody sucks." I'm like, "Everybody doesn't suck. I think everybody sucks. You're supposed to think everybody's great.
Yeah.
Don't become this. Like I think it rubs off on my dog too sometimes, where she's like, "I don't want to go outside." I'm like, "You have to go outside. You're a dog. You're a dog. Come on, we have to leave the house."
You're a pack animal.
Yeah. Come on, go be social.
The career shift, I mean, like, I feel like I experienced that a bit too, during the pandemic with having your identity tied into the career. And then when you have these career shifts, especially in like the 30s, the 40s, as women were like changing and like Sarah's about to have a baby even too. It's like the identity crisis is always kind of right around a corner for us as women because we're always changing. And it's like, who am I when I'm different?
The hardest part about this has been like I decided a while ago, maybe not definitely because it's when do you ever definitely decide, but like that I wasn't going to have kids because I work. And then obviously once I got in a relationship with Dan, I was like, well, I would be caring for this kid every weekend. And so like I don't want to ever resent him over this
and he would
child
be big.
that we
To
have.
a big one.
Yeah, so I'm like, also
tear you
yeah, that
apart.
head, it'd be a C-section. I would pay money to ensure it would be a C-section. But I just like, it wasn't something we wanted, so we decided not to. But then I'm at this point where I'm not working. And then I'm like, well, you're at the age where you're running out of time.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to work anyway, like your brain and the chemicals are just like, well, is this, now I feel this guilt of like, well, now am I being selfish? Should I have a kid? But I know that deep down I don't want to. I know that deep down, like I would fear my depression's effect on this child.
Not to mention
But it's just this-
postpartum.
it's just that this time in my life not working is like has that extra added layer of like you're a piece of shit, of like, well, if you're not going to work, then you should be a mom. Otherwise, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
And I have to constantly just be like,
Yeah, and also it's like a societal projection on women that we have to prove our worth constantly. We have to be like creating, or if you're not doing that, then you need to be like making the home and doing this and doing that. And it's like I do feel like men are often allowed to just be more, even though men also have
it's hard for you too.
have issues.
It's also really hard for you, and we're so
is.
sorry for everything you go through.
We are. But yeah, I sense that too. I sense it too. Like in in New York City culture as well too,
Yeah.
where it's like everyone is always working themselves to the brink of exhaustion, and then when you have the heart to like take a vacation for yourself, it's hard to even enjoy it because you're like, I mean, like you worked hard for years, have a great career,
Yeah.
and it's like you should be able to, you know, relax and enjoy the time in between.
Yeah.
But I mean, who can? Because that's not rewarded and celebrated to like take care of yourself emotionally. It's like you have to claw your way to the top.
Yeah, at all times. But I also just feel like everyone plays a part in the ecosystem. So even the ones that choose not to have kids, you're playing a huge part in saving the world.
Yes. Yeah.
you.
Reducing the carbon footprint. Yeah.
And you help the village.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Also, I like my brother just had a kid.
Yeah.
Who is the absolute cutest baby that you've ever seen in your life?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Look at that headband.
Oh my
She was a
Stop
preemie, so she's like really,
it.
really small. Also, my phone is fucking filthy. But so like I went out there and like hung out with them. Obviously, I've never cared for a baby, so I wasn't like super helpful. But like, you know, so they can go do things and I can sit and look at her, which is all I did because she's so cute. And like help. I have friends with kids, help out with that. And just not have my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Which is fine.
And still have an incredibly full and meaningful life.
Yeah.
Yeah, because from what I gather, even when you have kids, they're like, I have no life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no identity with that as well.
Yeah.
Apparently.
I feel like it's I told myself like I would have to be really, really sure. And I envy people who are, because I'm like, man, I wish I knew what that felt like to finally have something that I feel like as a woman your whole life you're like, am I ever gonna?
Yeah,
Will I
one day, and then it's like 40's around the corner.
Yeah,
You're
and
like,
then you're like,
help.
oh, it's the deadline's now. I have to know now. And it's like, as soon as like knowing I didn't know was enough for me to know.
Oh,
if
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's not a definite yes, it's a definite no.
Right. It's like
definitely.
Enthusiastic consent. It's like if it's not a yes, then it's the no.
Yeah.
But it's just a weird feeling that you kind of have to wrestle with, where it's like, well,
Yeah.
it could be a yes. And
Yeah.
you're like, no,
Yeah.
it couldn't. It could not be.
You're like, I saw a cute baby. Is that enough? It's like, no, it's not. It's not.
Not at all. It helps to read subreddits where people are complaining about
my
having
God.
kids.
Those are
Yes.
so dark and
I love that.
interesting.
They're
to
just
me.
so great. And I love it because for them, it's an outlet where they can be honest, right? Because I think a lot of moms are not allowed to be like, there are days where I regret this child.
Right, right.
They're not going to do anything. They're just venting. And I love that for them. And I love it for me.
Yes,
Because I
it's
can be like,
helpful.
I would feel that way and I would hate it.
Yes.
And so I'm out.
Yeah, like, well, I was saying this in the last episode, but I posted a joke about, you know, not having kids. Like, what if I have to spend the rest of my life having fun? And it's like the amount of parents, the backlash from parents
they
being
get
like,
they get really upset.
I'm having the best time of my
Are you?
life. It's like,
you're never going to know this love.
Yeah.
You won't know what this love feels like.
what? I mean, you're arguing with a stranger on the internet who I'm just being facetious.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm just
joking
joking.
around. It's like, I don't think you're having fun, Carol. I don't think you are.
I hate to break it to you. I think you might be miserable.
But it's fun. It's fun because I love the people that are like coming to the defense of women in this comment thread. God bless them and God bless you all because you're making great points. And I've run out of energy for evolution clock 775.
Yeah.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining us. Where
Thank
can
you for
everybody
having me.
follow and find you?
Right now I'm doing a podcast about the Women's World Cup, even though the United States got eliminated from the Women's World Cup, which was a real tough blow to us.
I know. I thought it was a given that we just win it.
Well,
to be
we're in a
honest.
transitional period.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's nice to see other countries are catering to women's sports.
Yeah, they're catching up, and we're all
Yeah.
supposed to feel very good about that. But deep down, I feel mad because
Yes.
I wanted us to win it. But we are still doing it. It's Just Women's Sports is the platform. It's called The 91st, so you can find me there, or Twitter at Katie Nolan. Used to have a little blue check. No more.
Oh,
No more.
on X.
Oh yeah, that's
away.
right. Sorry, you can
X.
zeet me at Katie Nolan. And Instagram, it's Nady Colon. It was taken, so I had to switch.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's that.
It's so great to have you on.
It was
We
so
really
great to be here.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening. Please give us a like and subscribe and listen to part 2 on Patreon.
Yeah. Lady Journey.
Journey.